Paltiel.
Thank you. You are participant number 4.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Kiva was asking about last night with the or.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's asking where's it going, or what was the, maybe what were we learning from this? Kiva, how's your question? Maybe he's on mute.
I wanted to know what you were trying to explain to us before yesterday.
All right. I'm going to react to the gist of the question. We're someplace in the stratosphere. When I say be-etzem, where does that come in, so to speak, in our simple reality? So, once the question been brought, I'd like to discuss it from its inception, from the beginning, and develop it to our point. When we received the Torah, we were given the privilege of having the Torah only because we said Na'aseh v'nishma. What's Na'aseh v'nishma? What's so important about that? You fulfill the Torah by learning it. What is this Na'aseh v'nishma so imperative? It is in brief. The principle of the Torah is not that you should live a decent life in the world. The principle of the Torah is that there is no world, that there is only the Melech Olam. That's the only thing that you really acknowledge. This is the reality. And this is where Na'aseh v'nishma comes in. Nishma this is something which becomes which is within my purview. I can relate to it. I can digest it. Na'aseh simply says there is this supreme reality, and that is what I relate to, even though there's no way that I can understand and know it in on a personal level. As a matter of fact, our task as a chosen people is exactly this, to bring, I would say, Atzmus into the world. This is what Mashiach is. I was just learning the Pasha Chumash, yesterday's Pasha Chumash. But Bnei Yankiv were so offended by Shchem's actions, they want to kill down the whole city. What's going on over here? Just to take revenge for your sister? So Chassidus explains it's completely different parameters are here. this action was a transgression against the godly presence in the world. He desires her. So be attentive, be considerate. What do you mean he desires her? Is this according to God's rule or not? So they said, this is Achil Hashem, Shalei Kohei Kameyu. And if we're not going to respond to it, it's going to become part of the fabric of the world. As a matter of fact, as those Posik right away says, Yankee was scared. Yankee was saying, maybe I don't have the, Yankee was constantly scared. Maybe I don't have the schus. Maybe I don't have the schus. But by Yichitas Elikim, Hashem said to him right away, go, don't fear, go and do your thing. By Yichitas Elikim Alonim, this little group of men, Yichitas Elikim Alonim Asher Hatzvevei Seihem. The entire, all nations around, the Chitanya, Chiti, Prizi, all of them were sitting and trembling. They saw something different than what they're used to. They saw a godly power, pure presence. They are not going to tamper with that. This is essentially what we're learning here. And what we're learning is that there's a process that Chassidus enables, what Chassidus reveals, is that this nasav in nishma, this principle that Eden expressed, should be able to be almost absorbed and recognized in our midot and in sechel. So it should become, so to speak, part of our own fabric. To understand what oir is, what atzmus is, what oir atzmi is. Thereby, this understanding, this type of understanding, the chval sechel, we mentioned many times, it's understood, they have to be understood. Sechel, the real meaning of sechel, is not what the world calls sechel, logical deduction or induction. Sechel is a godly revelation from the nefesh at the sechel level. And I'll take another minute to give us a handle on this statement. We speak about the principle Odom Shein Beis in the Odom. So Beis, we can all see Beis. This is something which really establishes a person, reality, real presence in the world. We can sense it. But then we say a house has to have all the amenities of the house. Has to have tables and chairs. A house without tables and chairs is lacking something. And has to have all other amenities, has to provide for his comfort, has to provide for his support and so forth. When you come down to that, so you say, well, this is just for comfort, for convenience. There's nothing principally real about it. Human being has to eat, and how will the animal has to eat? The human being eats one way, and the animal eats another way. But that's what it's about. So we say, no. The way the human being behaves, the way the human being eats, like he eats by a table, with a spoon, from a plate, and up in his hands, and he makes a bracha before that. That is not the only the hislapshus, only the oir has hamamali. There is a godly presence in this. There's a reality element in the human being, and when a human being eats otherwise, his whole person is kind of deflated. It falls down. Not that it wasn't convenient. The Moshe says, he loses his human face. That is that is clearly, this is not something which is born out of experience in the world. This is something which is this is the nefesh presence on the conscious level. This is nefesh presence. The Rebbe created the human being and put a neshama in him, and that's what the human being is. This neshama is deep down internally, and it shines through his sechel and midot, and he lives at that level in a practical way. This is the significance and the importance of understanding these, of opening up one's mind to sensing these deeper and finer concepts, which is difficult. We can't even really, we will not come to it without being told. That's what my Torah means. It's a nasa v'nishma. We first have to be told about it. We're not going to look at the world and say, this is how we have to behave. Even if we knew the history of the world exactly, God created the world in 7 days, in 6 days, and the 7th day he rested. Will that compel us automatically to emulate that and have a 6-day work week and on the 7th day to rest? Will it? Nothing. The Shabbos is something Hashem gave us the privilege. He gave us His presence. He says, you emulate me. It didn't come in Mata L'mayla, it didn't come from our understanding, from sechel. And thus, it is extremely significant, and it opens on one's mind and heart to sense, yes, I do understand, I do sense that there is such a thing of lo yedem, something that is not knowable, but that's the reality. Like we said last night. This is how it is. Lo yodaite hatam. I don't know the reason. Why? Because it's not mislabish at sechel at that level. But I know it's truth. Like you mentioned, the Rambam in halacha, he says, in the Gemara says, that this halacha says is milso b'loy taima. The halacha itself is not, it has no reason. Milso b'loy taima. Milso b'loy taima means that it's reflecting something higher than time. And in Chassidus, it's brought down many times an incident in the Gemara where Rab said the halach, and he was asked a question that kind of what is this different than this? And Shoshik Rab, and Rab was stumped. He was quiet. He couldn't answer the question. Does that mean that he changed his mind? Absolutely not. Not only did he not change his mind, but the halacha concludes, practically speaking, the way he said it. Because we have to always remember, halacha is God's sechel, God's word, not ours. The Rebbe's his favorite expression is, what's so terrible, what's so shocking, but a human being doesn't understand God's mind? What's so insulting about that?
Doesn't understand God's?
Doesn't understand God's sechel. All right. Okay, so we are, to whatever extent we have the time, AyinBase 15, and it is essentially 7 lines from the top. The line starts with the word be-etzem. We are now discussing this principle, that there is that deeper reality. That is, be-etzem is not idea. It's not knowable. I've explained many times, and you're going to go into it now. To know something, you have to have two areas. Where this thing is not and where the thing is. Just as when you want to get hold of it, grab a table. How do you grab a table? Can you grab a table from the board? This is the real table, is the board. Can you grab the table by the table? No, you have to go outside of the table, by its limits, where it's not, and then you can get hold of it. The reality of the table itself, you can't even grab, and that's true in sechel as well. As much as we understand what the table is, you can't go directly. So you have to be massing. You have to. There's always, so to speak, the relative and the comparison, and so forth. So there is this truth in Elikus. be-etzem in Shabbos idea. The whole inner idea is not shaykh because it does not have borders. It's not based on borders. And the whole idea is not applicable. So now the Rebbe explains, okay, in the middle of this line. The be-idea, for in idea, yesh gam kein beis madreges. In idea, there are also two madreges. That is a phenomenal discovery, so to speak. But we have to understand, there are two madreges in idea, in awareness. Bechinas Chochma Yidiyah, the aspect of Chochma, what's called Chochma Yidiyah, and knowable Chochma, and known Chochma, or Bechinas Chakim, B'lo B'Chochma Yidiyah. And that Bechina, which is called Chakim, wise, but not B'Chochma Yidiyah, but not with an identifiable Chochma. The Hainu, which means to say, Bechinas ideas hachiyuv, ideas hashlila. These are the two madreges in idea in Chochmah. Ideas hachiyuv, ideas hashlila. Knowing hachiyuv means the direct definition of the Ayin, and ideas hashlila, the indirect knowledge, where you contrast it to that which it is not. This is idea hashlila. Both of these are in the category of idea, because there is an identifiable entity, and you can identify it, as I said, where it is, where it is not. Avol lo yodam, but this high madrigat said lo yodam. The lo yoda, he does not know who she'ein b'bchinas idea klal. This is the idea of etzem hoir. She'ein b'bchinas idea klal. It is not within the realm of idea altogether. Not idea zachiyuv, and not idea zashliv. This is called etzem hoir. The Rambam we always quote, which is in Nigla, but it's a phenomenal statement. The first principle is to know. The first principle is to know that there is a first being. The first being. We cannot even conceptualize this idea. If we say there is a Motzei Rishon, Mamsi Kol Nimtzo, this is saying that the world that we live in does not have a beginning. In truth, it represents a Motzei Rishon. Yes, it developed and so forth, but that's triviality within the worldly context itself. But the reality of it itself, the fact that there is a world, this is not something that we can even begin to surmise, because there's a Motzei Rishon. It pre-existed its existence. That's what Motzei Rishon. The world is not there because the world is there. The world is there because the Motzei Rishon is there. So, as much as you study the world, you'll never know the truth about it. Because your premise is a lie. And this is how we have in our, the brave new world, all the wise men of Shchem came to the conclusion that the human being evolved from a monkey. Because you have a false premise, you come to ludicrous conclusions. You can contradict yourself. Find me the monkey who will say that it came from a cockroach.
It's not smart enough.
Huh?
It's not smart enough.
It's not smart enough. This is why the Torah could not be accepted, could not be gotten and obtained and given, except by this Nasiv and Nishma. We do it because you say so. It's never going to be part of our sechel. And with your grace, you understand some of it too. But primarily it is because you said so. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt before I forget. Baruch Bush has a big simcha, a new Einikel girl in Boston. Mazel tov. And this is what we said. It is not in the realm of idea at all. Which means that in its source it is not identified by knowledge. We said last night, we have, so to speak, in human life, these principles on the lower human level. A human being owns property, owns his home. He owns his home, and that's a true ownership. By godly decree, this is his house. That's a human being himself who has his ownership. That he really conceptualize what that means. Does he fully understand what that means? Does he own it because he knows that he owns it? He was given that quality and that privilege by the Creator of the world. The ownership is not something that he creates. The Mashiach created the world, and he gave the world to the human beings, and thus there is a need of ownership. This is not his doing. He doesn't even understand fully the significance of it. This is why it says that a child up to 28 years old does not appreciate real estate altogether. Because he knows things only what he can experience. What's a piece of land? I can't eat it. It doesn't have any taste. Only when a person reaches a level where he relates to reality not because of his own experience, but the reality itself, real estate, then he can begin to relate to it. The call chicane, okay, we can go a step further. The call chicane, and certainly bechinas etzem hoir, the aspect of etzem hoir, k'meisha hu lifnei hatzimtzum. The etzem hoir, as the oir is before the tzimtzum. Because this thing that we're discussing the whole time, like oir hasoiviv and etzem hoir, this is after the tzimtzum. Why is soivev after the tzimtzum? So because we explained that the principle of soivev is that it's soivev what? It provides for a world. That's already after the tzimtzum.
Why are we saying kol sheken? We're saying that by soivev and by the nispashtus oil, there's a shtickling into the idea. But the
etzem hoir, which is also after the tzimtzum. After the tzimtzum is also etzem hoir. This is the phenomenal thing that we've been learning all the time. That even after oir remains connected to the source, and it always retains this aspect. And lifnei hatzimtzum, what's the lifnei hatzimtzum? He said lifnei hatzimtzum. I have to stop. Lifnei hatzimtzum, oir lifnei hatzimtzum is not an oir that has the aspect of creation. It is an oil that is only speaking about the creator. Does not even speak about the creation. For it seems. That there we don't know etzem alose, its quality, supreme quality at all, anything about it. Okay, this is it for this morning. Okay, we're going to have Mitzvah assembly there. I'll see you tonight. Have a great day and good Shabbos.
Disconnected.
Fine.
la